Today we're going to talk about how to become much more consistent on your serves. So now obviously a lot of people are just thinking about serving a ton so you become more accurate with your serves and it becomes more repeatable and more consistent. Now for some people that have problems with the balance on their serves and problems with the weight transfer on their serves, this kind of approach will not work. So instead, what you should be thinking about is where your weight distribution ends on your foot. So now I want you to imagine that you have pressure sensors all around below your foot. And now we want to hit a perfect serve where we feel balanced and where we feel good about the serve, and we want to see how much weight we feel on every one of those pressure sensors. Do we feel more of our weight towards the outside of our foot, more of our weight towards the inside of our foot, or more of our weight right in the middle of our foot? So that's really important. So we can kind of see that by if we're bending our knee a little bit more to the left, then the weight will be on the outside, a little bit more forward, the weight will be in the middle, a little bit further to the right, the weight will be more on the inside of our foot. Now the key point here is we have to pay very close attention to how this weight distribution works when we're hitting a clean serve. And now we're trying to recreate that weight distribution on every single serve. So that means when we're preparing and we're getting into our trophy position and pushing forward, we want to make sure that our weight is always distributed exactly how we liked it on that perfect serve where we are jumping towards our target, didn't lose our balance towards the left or right, or even fell backwards. And then we can try to practice our motion the same way every single time, because now our weight distribution and our weight transfer is moving in the same direction. So that helps us to now recreate the same exact movement in our body before we actually start swinging to the ball. So as you can imagine, if we have the same exact motion before we start hitting, that means we have the same starting position, which then makes it much easier to execute the same rotation, the same swing, and actually hit the same target over and over again. Now here's a quick little reference point for you to figure out where your weight distribution should be ideally if you're actually hitting a clean serve. Now to answer that question, we first have to take a look at your stance. If you're standing a little bit more sideways on your serves, then your weight distribution has to be more towards the outside of your foot, because otherwise you can't jump towards the court. If you have a more facing forward approach, a more open stance, then the weight distribution will move slightly more towards the middle of your foot. If you feel like your weight distribution is more on the inside of your foot, you're probably going to fall over to the right. If it's too far over to the left, you're probably going to fall over to the left. Now, one thing that shouldn't happen at all is you shouldn't have weight distribution on your back foot. Okay, so most of your weight, like 85% or so, 85% should be on your front foot as you're serving. Okay, that's very important. Now I'm going to show you an example of how we can repeat that weight distribution as well as the serve to make it more consistent. So let's take a look at my weight distribution. So now I'm going to try to allocate most of my weight towards the left side, slightly towards the center of my left foot to make sure I can jump straight towards my target. Let's take a look. Very good. Now we'll do a second serve, and I'm going to try to replicate exactly what I did on the first one. Okay, that worked well. And now one last one. Same thing one more time. All right, so in this case, I managed to be pretty on point with my weight distribution, and you can see that by the fact that I landed pretty much in the same angle on all three of my serves. So take a look at where you're starting. If you start in the same exact spot, you would want to jump into the same exact spot as well. That's your reference point for if your weight distribution worked out perfectly or not.
Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon.